Even though I spent the last 15 years scaling SaaS companies and building them and exiting them, these days, 99% of my time goes towards this unstoppable community, to helping SaaS founders grow their SaaS business faster. Now, that doesn't mean that every now and then I get an idea in my head for a SaaS business and I'm like, oh, that looks really tempting. Now, I'm 100% committed to doing Unstoppable and serving the founders in this community. So I figured I'd do an episode of the 3 best SaaS ideas that I've come up with in the last month. I'm gonna go through the principles that I apply to vet a SaaS idea in a market. I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll get 3 great SaaS ideas. And you'll also get some of the principles I apply to really figure out, is this a good SaaS business or not? And maybe it'll help you stress test your idea, or more importantly, it'll give you some inspiration on the type of SaaS idea you want to go after. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, because I drop an episode like this every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. Now, 15 years ago when I did my first startup, and then 5 years later when I did my second startup, both exited, and I was baby TK. And I didn't have a lot of principles on how I picked ideas. Honestly, with ToutApp, which pioneered the sales engagement space, it was backed by Andreessen Horowitz, and then we sold it to Marketo. For a company like that, I built a product. I remember sketching it on a notebook before I built it over the course of a weekend, that first version. I just wanted to solve my own problem. And I think we got lucky in that we got into this space of sales engagement, and there needed to be a massive solution for it. Right now, the sales engagement category is valued at over $5 billion. And so back when I first started, I was just kind of solving my own problems. But now that I've had a few runs at this, we exited ToutApp. I exited the first company I co-founded with some of my co-founders back in college. I helped exit Marketo to Adobe. Now that I've seen a lot and really gone through 15 years of SaaS, which I know I look kind of 15, but it's really been that long. I've developed some principles so that I can serve all of the founders that I work with that come to me for help with their SaaS businesses and how to grow it. And so over time, I started to develop a set of principles that I apply to stress test a SaaS idea in a SaaS business. And it's also helped me really vet, is a SaaS idea good or not? And so in this episode, I'm going to walk you through 3 of some of the best SaaS ideas I've come across that no one's working on, at least no one that I'm coaching, that maybe you'll be inspired by. And as I explain those 3, I'm going to explain exactly the principles I apply to see if it's a good idea or a bad idea. And that'll help you really vet your idea as well. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And let's go to principle number 0. So principle number 0, and I've covered this in a prior video. In case you missed it, I'll link to it below. You don't have to go right now. There's essentially 3 golden types of SaaS. And this is one of the first principles that I always apply. So the 3 ideas I'm going to give you matches to one of those 3 golden types of SaaS. The first one, which is the most valuable, I'm going to put $3 signs here, is your system of record. The second one, which is not as valuable as the system of record, and I'll explain what each of these are through the examples, is your system of engagement. And the third one, which is the least valuable in SaaS, but still very valuable because all SaaS is so valuable, is your system of decision. So that's kind of principle number 0. That's like the first principle you need to know. Whenever I'm looking at a SaaS idea or a founder's coming to me and they're like, hey, I want to join one of your coaching programs, the first thing that goes through my head is like, okay, what's the golden type of SaaS and how big can this get given the type of SaaS that they're building? A system of record is where the business runs on this system. So a perfect example of this is a CRM. A CRM, the entire business or department or function runs on this system. It's a system of record. So that's why it's the most valuable. It's also really hard to rip out because once you get your business running on that system, it's hard to move it because everything kind of points to that and all your data is stored there. That's why it's the most valuable. The second most valuable is where people do the work. A system of engagement is, for example, something where you sit inside of it and you actually do the workflow. And in some cases, that workflow, as you do the work, it writes the data into the system of record. In other cases, the system of record is the system of engagement. In our case, for example, ToutApp sat on top of Salesforce or any other CRM for that matter. And so this is where salespeople did their work, sent their emails, made their phone calls, followed up. But in the background, everything was being written and pulled from the CRM. And that's true even today with some of the multi-billion-dollar valued companies in sales engagement. But it's still not valued as highly as CRM. It's valuable, it's in the billions, but it's not as big as CRM. Why? Because you can kind of rip this out. Because it's syncing data from the system of record, you can kind of go from SalesLoft to Outreach to Apollo to HubSpot. It wouldn't be that big of a difference. Whereas if you're standardized on Salesforce, it's really hard to move all of this stuff to another system, which is why Salesforce is so much more valuable. So that's the first two types. And the third type, which is, I say this with a little bit of caveat, which is it's the least valuable, but still very valuable given SaaS, is your system of decision. This is your business intelligence tool. This is your analytics tool. You don't really do much work in here. What it does is it hooks into all these other systems, analyzes the data and gives you insights, helps you make decisions, gives you maybe some decisions you can make. And that's why it's a system of decision. And this is your standard analytics tool or business intelligence tool or charting tool. And as you might imagine, it's very easy to swap these out and go from one to another, which is why they're not as valuable because churn can be high in these. So these are the three different types of SaaS businesses. And the three ideas I'm going to give you, 1, 2, and 3, is going to be aligned to each of these three categories because those are kind of the golden types of SaaS. So one of the things you'll always want to ask yourself as you're evaluating a SaaS business idea is, okay, what is the type of system that I'm building? Is it a system of record, system of engagement, or system of decision? Because inherently, and there's always exceptions, but broadly speaking, one is more valuable than the other, one is harder than the other. So for example, even though a system of record is the most valuable, it may be really difficult to displace the system of record for your ideal customer profile. And so if that's the case, you're still better off going after being a system of engagement or a system of decision. There's still value to be created. You just have to know like there are some limits here. And maybe over time, you can grow from being a system of engagement to a system of record over time. That's okay too, but you just want to understand where it is. That's kind of the core principle here. All right, so let's go into the first SaaS example. I'm going to grab a different marker for this. So the first SaaS idea that I want to share with you, I'm going to start with this one, system of decision. So we're going to start with least valuable to most valuable. That's how I'm going to do it because then you'll watch till the end. This is a YouTube trick. I apologize for doing it, but it kind of works. So the first one we're going to do is system of decision. And a system of decision, the idea I had for this is, I came across this recently, is one of the things I understood is that I learned is there's 1 billion cameras now in the world. 1 billion cameras. And apparently 52% of this is in one specific country that should not be named. But there's 1 billion cameras in the world and that's growing exponentially. There's cameras everywhere. People at home have cameras, businesses are putting in their cameras, and governments are putting in cameras. And the thing with these cameras is all of the footage is being stored. And one of the core SaaS ideas that I've been kind of mulling around with is what do you do with all of that data? Now, there are a lot of companies in the space that are consuming that camera data, but one big thing that's happening is computer vision APIs are becoming stronger and stronger. This is where you can actually feed in the data coming out of these cameras and analyze them and understand them. This is why self-driving cars are becoming a thing. That's computer vision APIs. This is where threat detection and security is becoming a thing. And so one core idea that you can start to think about is if there's 1 billion cameras in the world and that's growing, and computer vision APIs are becoming better and better and better, and a lot of them are open source, then what can we do with that? And so if you can combine these two big trends, then you can start to build out some sort of AI SaaS platform for analyzing footage. And you can analyze this footage to do any number of things. You could do this for threat detection. You can analyze this to figure out customer trends and buying trends. Let's just say you have a camera that's sitting in a gas station that you own. I'm using a very extreme example. And let's just say you clear all the privacy regulations and all of that. You can analyze that and start to understand all the trends around your business on when there tends to be more people or less people, or when people tend to buy more. You can correlate that data to your point of sale system. You get the idea. 1 billion cameras in the world, and there's computer vision APIs to understand what's going on, all the data that's being captured on those cameras. You can build a platform that analyzes the footage and figures out how businesses can reduce their risk or make more money or actually increase their productivity. Any one of those things to actually serve them in a bigger way. So that's idea number one. Now, again, these ideas, they come through my head. If there was ever an idea where one of the people in my coaching programs are working on it, then I would never share it because, conflict of interest. So none of these ideas anyone's working on. And I think it's like, it's pretty cool. Are there nuances here? Maybe, but broadly speaking, like I try and make sure that there's never a conflict of interest. So these are ideas that I'm never going to work on, but I think they're really cool ideas. Why am I never going to work on them? Because I really love working on Unstoppable and doing what I do and serving my clients. That's like, I think that focus is very important. But I wanted to share these because maybe it'll inspire you, or maybe you want to go after this idea, right? So that's idea number one. Idea number two, we're going to go into system of engagement. Again, we're going from relatively least valuable, this is going to still be a multi-billion-dollar company if you do it, to more and more valuable companies, right? And so one of the things that has stuck out to me recently is, we're doing more deals that are a little bit more bespoke. For example, like I have my launch program, which is for pre-revenue founders. I have my go-to-market program, which is for seed stage founders, and now I have my platinum program. The people that were in the go-to-market program and succeeded and raised their Series A or their Seed Plus or drove growth and profitability, they're like, hey, I want to continue working together. So we start going to the platinum program. And the platinum program, we do kind of a custom agreement to make sure that they get everything that they need. This is like my top tier, most successful founders and all that. And so we had to do some red lines. Like we were setting out the agreement and the stock agreement and this and that, and we were doing red lines. And one of the things I realized was red lines are the worst. And the lawyer uses, and my lawyer specializes in SaaS businesses and SaaS transactions. We actually did a whole video on how to pick the right lawyer and what to look for in a lawyer, especially if you're in SaaS. I'll link to that below. One thing I noticed is, your lawyer will use one platform. They'll use like Microsoft Word or something, but then your client will use like Google Docs because every startup is on Google Docs. And sometimes they'll get mismatched, and sometimes the Google Doc is storing a Word document. It's a complete mess. And we're emailing back each other. And we're highlighting the things that are on the red line. And the thing that I realize is like, this is a completely broken workflow. Like I'm in the middle. I'm the service provider. I have the lawyer. I have the client. And no one's happy with this because everyone's going back and forth and it's over email. And then I have to make sure my accountant is good on this to make sure we're doing everything in a tax efficient way. It's insane. And so when I dug into that a little bit more, I saw that this technology around legal tech, as they call it, is, so if you call it legal tech, and you can Google this, is about a $17 billion industry. And by the way, I was writing the wrong thing, so I had to cross that out. So sorry, happy mistake. Legal tech is a $17 billion industry. And this workflow around legal where you're doing red lines, and you think about red lines, this is where you have to sign a contract, but your lawyer reviews it. And then your lawyer is like, oh, you can't sign this. You have to tweak this one thing. And there's always this one thing. And you have to send that back. And they have to review it. And you have to redline it. And they have to come back. It's like, it's the worst. It's the worst thing. And we're just trading files or links or documents. And yet legal tech is a $17 billion industry, which means that people are investing in software, SaaS companies, SaaS software that helps with streamlining the legal workflow. And so what was interesting to me is like $17 billion legal tech industry, red lines, everyone does it, right? In B2B, in SaaS, in all of it. And the biggest thing that stuck out to me was, and I'm going to put this in red, there's no DocuSign. And I'll explain what that is. There's no DocuSign. What that means is that right now, if you wanted to execute on a legal document, you do a DocuSign. Even if you don't use DocuSign itself, you're using HelloSign or RightSignature or whatever the competitor, Adobe EchoSign, whatever it is, you call it a DocuSign. There's a one standard way to do electronic signature. But when it comes to red lines, there's literally nothing. Like there's maybe one or two startups, but there's no standardized thing. There's no thing like, it's like, oh, you got to use DocuSign, right? Like there's nothing like that. And so I thought, hey, this is essentially a workflow. And not only is this a workflow, one of the things that's cool about DocuSign is if I use DocuSign and you don't, but we're doing a deal, I send you a DocuSign, you now learn about DocuSign. And you're like, oh my God, I should use DocuSign again. And similarly, if I'm doing red lines and I send you the red lines in this SaaS platform, then you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is such a better experience. I wanna do all my red lines this way as well. And so it's naturally viral, meaning it's just gonna spread. as more and more people use it, which is exactly how DocuSign grew. So that's my SaaS idea for essentially a system of engagement. You want to streamline red lines. You want to say, hey, red lines like are totally broken. Don't exchange files. It's error prone. Everyone hates it. You're going back on email and exchanging documents, and you can't track everything, and there's no source of truth. And I always wondered, like, how do you know someone turned off track changes and didn't like sneak something in? The lawyer's always supposed to run a diff check. Everything's totally broken. And so if you go into the $17 billion legal tech industry and you streamline a workflow around red lines and you build this product that's naturally viral, I think that could be a really interesting company, potentially a really large and massive company. I didn't find anything that's like an obvious, like, oh, you got to use this. Like there are players here and there. No one in my coaching program, so I can talk about it. I think this is one of the great SaaS ideas. And if I wasn't so much in love with Unstoppable, maybe I'd work on this. Maybe you have a background in legal tech and you really want to work on this. And so that's something that you can think about as well. All right, so that's system of engagement, system of decision. Now, before I go into number one, which is my most valuable SaaS idea that I'm going to share because it's under system of record, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Firstly, are you starting to see the power of, I don't just come up with an idea. One of the things that I start with is, okay, how big is the market? One of the things I start with is it naturally viral? Is there an existing well-entrenched competitor? How big of a problem is this? 1 billion cameras? Is there some unique new technology that's coming together that's gonna make this easier and possible now versus before, like computer vision API? These are some of the principles I apply to really understand, is there a real market here? Because what I did when I was baby TK was fall in love with the idea and the product. But now that I've grown and I've made mistakes and I've learned and I coach so many founders, what I know is what's more valuable is the market. You got to understand what's the market, what's the macro trend, what's the big difference, and then think about the product, and then think about go-to-market. So if you start to see the power in this, if you start to see the power in some of these ideas and the principles I'm applying, can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. It really does. Also, if you're in that stage where you're really vetting out your SaaS idea, maybe you're pre-revenue, but you've built a product, or you're building a product, or you're about to build a product, you really want to make sure you apply these principles, then you should totally check out my 10-point SaaS business checklist. It's completely free. I'll link to it below. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video, but let's go to principle number 3, or rather 1 here, the system of record. The most valuable SaaS idea I have for you in this video. Okay, so most valuable SaaS system of record. Now, one of the things that is glaringly obvious to me these days is that there are 50 million creators worldwide. On top of that, it's growing 48% year over year. Now, what's a creator? Well, in the last 15 years of my life, I built SaaS businesses, I scaled them, I exited them, and that's what I did. That's why I'm able to do this, because I have actual experience in doing exactly what you're working on doing. Now, I'm a creator. That's at least what they would call me. Some would also call me a solo capitalist, depending on what you look at, but the creator economy is very real. What that means is people like me can take my experience from the last 15 years and create videos like this and give back and really serve the community. All of these videos are completely free. What it also means is that a percentage of those people can say, you know what, if this free stuff is this good, I want to work with this guy. And they're able to join my coaching programs, and where I work with them in a deeper way, give them my step-by-step training, and I really coach them to help them accomplish, the founders that are my clients, accomplish what I did over the last 15 years. That's the creator economy. And there's so many creators, and this, I do it for SaaS businesses, but they're creators that do all kinds of categories. Like there are creators that focus on fitness, there are creators that focus on health, on relationships. It's all over the place. But this creator economy, because of social media, which is at full force right now, because of digital products, all these things are enabling these 50 million creators, 48% year-over-year growth, to actually build businesses. What this means is that not only do they have an audience, that's, if you just subscribe to Unstoppable, you're part of the audience, you're part of the community, but they can also build products to actually engage deeper. So now you have clients. And so one of the things that was very evident to me is while there are a lot of SaaS products for building community and for bringing together people, your audience and your clients, there isn't really a CRM for creators, not really. And so that was my golden system of record idea, CRM for creators. And normally you might say, how big can this get? And maybe this is a bootstrap company, but maybe it's venture backable, because 50 million creators, a lot of them are building big businesses with a lot of clients, 48% year-over-year growth. They're getting more and more sophisticated with the tech stacks that they operate. I know we do. We home build a lot of things to make sure our clients are super successful. In fact, we built our own CRM internally because we wanted to really make sure we give them a great service. And so a CRM for creators takes this 50 million creators and this 40% year-over-year growth that they have in the market and kind of bridges it to a big market that already exists today. And that big market is the CRM market. And just for context, the CRM market is a $41 billion market. And the reason it's 41 billion is beyond Salesforce, there are all these other CRMs that are specific to industries, specific to types of people, specific to size of business, specific to segments of the market. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm saying CRM is a massive category. This is a big emerging category of people that have a lot of clients and are gonna need help managing those relationships. So go build a CRM for creators. And I think that could be easily a multi-billion-dollar company because of the sheer size of this people and the proven track record of this market. And that's my system of record. And the power in this is you can start to see where if you're building the CRM, again, the first things I look at is what are the macro trends in this market. I look at the market first. And then I say like, cool, what's the feature set? And I cheated a little bit for the system of record and the system of engagement. I basically said, well, a CRM already exists for a much bigger market. DocuSign already exists for running a certain aspect of the legal workflow. What's another part of the workflow or what's another segment of the market that is underserved? And that's how I came up with these ideas. One of the things you'll notice is for the most successful companies that are out there, they're not wildly groundbreaking. A lot of people will claim like, oh, I came up with that idea. Of course you did, but you didn't execute. A lot of people discount ideas because they seem so simple. But in reality, simple does not mean it's easy. Is it easy to actually execute on a CRM for creators? Absolutely not. You have to really understand what's unique about a creator and what makes for a successful CRM and find the intersection of that. Is it easy to build a workflow for Redlines? I bet it's pretty hard, which is why no one's really built it yet. But if you can crack it, you can be the next DocuSign except for Redlines. There's essentially enough risk reward here where if you do figure it out, it may not be easy, but you can actually get great rewards. Now, are these ideas simple? Yes. And I actually like simple ideas because simple ideas are easy to market, easy to sell, and people get it. The more complex an idea, they're like, I don't know. And some of the best ideas, some of the best companies you'll see, especially in SaaS, you'll look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that should have existed. It's like, yeah, but no one did it except for these guys and they really pulled it off, right? And that's the power of a great SaaS business. It starts with a simple idea and the discipline to go execute on it. So to recap, there's some of the key principles that I apply to vet an idea. Number one, there's 3 golden types of SaaS: system of record, most valuable; system of engagement, second most valuable; system of decision, third most valuable. When I'm thinking about an idea, I think about market first. How big is the market? What are the big macro trends? Is there a big change happening in the technology that makes this possible now? And then based on that, I'd look at the idea. And the 3 ideas that I presented to you today, now I'll go in order. Most valuable is CRM for creators. Second most valuable is a workflow solution for Redlines and legal tech. And the third one is analyzing camera data from the billion cameras in the world to actually drive more revenues, reduce risk, or just increase productivity. It could be any number of those things. Those are my 3 big ideas that I want you to think about. Now, you also know some of the principles I apply to vet an idea. If you want all the principles I apply to actually figure out, is this idea good? How do we validate it? What are the right pieces here? Then I encourage you to download my 10-point SaaS business checklist. It includes all the principles that I calculated in my head to understand if this idea is any good, especially when a founder approaches me on working together. This is what I go through in my head to understand, is this a good idea? Can I actually help them? How can I help them in the right way? Where are the weak points? So it's completely free. All you need to do is just go to tkcater.com/SaaS-checklist. tkcater.com/SaaS-checklist. I'll also link to it below. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just means the world to us, and the YouTube algorithm really likes it too. We want to help as many SaaS founders as possible, and these videos, we pour our hearts into these, we put a lot of love into these. So we want to help as many SaaS founders and future founders and entrepreneurs to actually work on SaaS, because this is what I love and I want to spread that love. So please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you are not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. I drop a video every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to start and scale and build and grow a SaaS business. So every Sunday I drop an episode. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, that way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you're part of a founder group, if you're part of a Slack community, a WhatsApp group, a discussion board, a circle community, whatever it may be, please share this video in there. It just means the world to us. We put a lot of love in these videos. We want to help as many people as possible. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.